Well, welcome, guys. I have with me on the line J.C. Carter,
Hey there.
Clarity Sanderson.
Hi.
We got a lot of things to cover this week. One of the things that I am sidestepping is Israel-Palestine because, one, none of the three of us are experts in
No.
Middle East peace talks.
No. Don't know anything about it. Well, I know about it. I don't know anything about the politics. Yeah.
I don't appreciate at all what Israel's doing. I don't appreciate at all what Hamas is doing. And as a guy who can see absolutely no clear fucking way to fix this problem, I don't feel that we should spend time pontificating on it other than wishing and hoping that somebody can negotiate a ceasefire as soon as possible. I think that Netanyahu is a bad man.
Yes.
And I can't believe they can't get him out of power. But I don't know. There's too many dead kids.
Yeah.
There's just too many fucking dead kids.
We always love the guy's name, Netanyahu. But yeah. Apart from that, I'd like to see him out of power. I definitely would.
You
also sidestepped the intro this week.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
The Left Show is not intended for youngsters. It's not intended for the sensitive. It's certainly not intended for right-wingers. Use your own discretion. Awful sweary.
The network children ask for by name. The Defenestrate Media Network.
The world's greatest podcast network.
It's Monday in America, and you are listening to the world's greatest political podcast, J.M. Bell's The Left Show.
You know who the best-looking person sitting up there was? Who was it with the cowboy hat?
No, J.M. Bell.
J.M. Bell. I don't know who that is.
He hosts a podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to leave it as is.
It's never too late for an intro.
No.
Well,
I knew you had it all queued up, just ready to go, and forgot.
I've got two mice I have to use and two computers I have to run at the same time, and I'm just none of this is habit yet.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, there's none there. Hi guys. We took last week off for Mother's Day. If you'd like to hear me whine about what a joke Father's Day is, please tune in to the Comic Book Podcast tomorrow.
That's right.
At thecomicbookpodcast.com. I'm not going to do that twice. No matter how fucking funny it was. And so we got a lot of things going on in America this week. I don't have a lot of international news because the international news, as we discussed before the intro, is just over my head and beyond my fucking pay grade.
Mm-hmm. Well above my pay grade.
About the only thing I have to say about it is Mike Pompeo just needs to shut the fuck up. You know? Right. Yeah. You performative dickweed. So I want to start.
All I would say on any of that is that the Republican Party needs to back the fuck off from Israel and their seemingly worship of Israel, considering what a piece of shit Netanyahu has turned into. And it's probably been the entire time, but we're silent. We're finally seeing what a piece of shit he is. And the Republican Party, I mean, first of all, they don't care. They backed a piece of shit as a president, so why not back this piece of shit? But I'm sick of it. I'm sick of them propping up Israel and doing all this shit with Israel and then forgetting there are other countries in this world apart from America and Israel.
Well, and the reason that they are so gung ho for Israel is because that's where Revelation starts. That's where all the bad things go. They're just juicing it for the end of the world. You know,
the three major religions. The three major religions in this world that have been warring with each other since they started, all started within a mile of each other in Jerusalem. It's like you all started in the same place. It's like family. It's like siblings who just want to go to war with each other. That's all there is to it. Judaism, Christianity, and Muslim and Islam all started in the same fucking place, all within a few miles of each other. Knock it off. You've got more in common than you have, and then you have differences. Ugh. There, that's my
you're all annoyingly religious.
Yeah, that's my take on that's my take on Palestinian relations. Just knock it the fuck off. You're all the same. Knock it off.
Quit killing kids.
Yeah,
quit killing kids.
All.
Quit killing kids.
That's us atheists' job is to kill kids, right?
Yeah, but that's for nutritional reasons.
Nutritional reasons, solely.
That's what I'm told.
Have you had your abortion today?
I have. Yes, about a half an hour ago. I do it in between the shows just to keep myself limber.
I started my morning with the blood of the newborn, just like all liberals do.
I started because I think this is funny. So we listen to commercials on other podcasts, and from time to time, I give in and I buy the thing. Super coffee is not as good as advertised. It tastes funny, but it is a good, clean caffeine high. So, that's a net positive. And then I started today with something that I heard from on a different podcast called Athletic Greens. And it's a 75 different ingredients to get you all your greens, energies, and nutritions and things that you need throughout the day. And as I mentioned to John a little bit ago, one of them is most definitely asparagus.
Oh, yeah. Say no more. No more.
I drank the stuff, and then I did a little business and was like, when the fuck did I eat asparagus? At 6:00 in the morning. So that cracked me up. But no, it wasn't nasty. It should have been. It's a bunch of health food in a fucking shaker. It should be disgusting, and it's not. It's not. Does it taste good? Not particularly. No. I'm thinking about maybe mixing it with some apple juice tomorrow. I don't know if that defeats the fucking purpose or not, but I think it'll taste better. There's green apples.
I'm just like, there's this invention called a salad to get you your greens.
Can't eat a salad at 5:00 in the morning. Who the fuck eats salad at 5:00 in the morning? This is a breakfast replacement.
I'm neither here to confirm nor deny that I've had salad at 5:00 in the morning.
Oh, it's just the wrong flavors at the time. Do you have problems with that? I have problems with that. I can't handle mayonnaise before noon.
I hear that.
Mustard is not a breakfast condiment.
I can do pizza for breakfast, or at least I could when I was much younger.
You haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I mean, I'll do it for first meal, but that's usually later in the day.
I reached for the same things.
That's a good point. I was younger and I slept in.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, let's start out. What? You were saying?
It's true. It's true. It's a brunch pizza. No, I tend to reach for the same things every morning. Yeah, and they're not necessarily greens. I guess unless you count avocado as greens, I do because it's green.
It is green.
Yeah,
it's not easy. So
being green.
I know. Did you guys catch Saturday Night Live?
I was just in the middle of that skit when it was time to record. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shut
I haven't watched any of it
yet. That was brilliant. Okay. Hang on, little dragon. So let's start out with a little good news, shall we?
Yes, please.
The United States has, my ad blocker is sometimes a little annoying. United States has restored transgender health protections that were denied by the Trump administration.
That is excellent news.
Yeah, the government will protect gay and transgender people against sex discrimination in healthcare. The Biden administration declared last Monday, reversing a Trump-era policy that narrowed rights at the intersection of changing social mores and sensitive medical decisions. It marked the latest step by President Biden to advance the rights of gay and transgender people across society, from military service to housing to employment opportunities. I'm delighted.
I'm very happy about that.
It was an announcement by the Department of Health and Human Services affirms that federal law forbidding sex discrimination in healthcare also protect gay and transgender people. Trump administration had defined sex to mean gender assigned at birth, thereby excluding trans people from the law's umbrella of protection. Quoting HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra, fear of discrimination can lead individuals to forego care, which can have serious negative health consequences. Everyone, including LGBTQ people, should be able to access health care free from discrimination or interference, period. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, as we made fun of religion a little bit a moment ago, I'd like to say something nice about a certain cabal inside a larger religious umbrella. It doesn't make sense to me, but I mean, going back in time, let us go back, shall we? Let's go. I was going to do that too. Let's go back to, when we were kind of coming up, and there were Baptists, and there were Protestants, and there were Lutherans, and there were Mormons, their cult, and that was what religion was. And then all of a sudden, round about Newt Gingrich's time running the House of Representatives, religion in America turned into Republican politics. And the Republican right and the Christian right sort of galvanized all of these formerly headbutting sects into this screechy, preachy, really super fucking annoying political movement. So when I read a story like this one, progressive German Catholic priests are defying the Vatican and blessing same-sex marriages, I get a little excited. Not excited enough to jump back into a religious bandwagon. No.
Oh, no. Oh, God, no.
Yeah, but as recently as this last March, the Catholic Church has reminded the world of its position that God does not and cannot bless sin. Says the Vatican. But these German priests aren't buying into that bigotry. In Berlin, Reverend Jan Kordeschicki, a Jesuit who works for the diocese preparing adults for baptism and helps out in the St. Canicis congregation, will lead blessings for queer couples at a worship service on May 16th. I am convinced that the homosexual orientation is not bad, nor is homosexual love a sin. The Reverend told the Associated Press in an interview on Friday. I want to celebrate the love of the homosexuals with these blessings because the love of homosexuals is something good. He said like this because he's German.
But I'm not a priest. I would have the love of the homosexual. That's what I'm hearing right there. But not to make fun of. Well, no, to make fun of the Catholic. But no, it's just once you can bridge that gap, once you can stop saying it's a predilection, it's a perversion. Once you can just accept that this is how they are, and if you're religious, this is how God made them or made you, then it'll be fine.
When you explore the Gospels with an open mind, as I have done twice in my life, you find that Jesus had not a goddamn thing, pun intended, to say about homosexuality.
Not a thing.
Not a thing. It was quite common back then, and viewed at by that particular society as a thing that happened, and therefore not commented on at all.
It just wasn't a thing.
Here, yeah, I don't know when that flipped. It had to have been sometime during the Dark Ages, yeah?
No, I'd say post Dark Ages. I'd say after the Renaissance, it probably happened.
Yeah?
Because everything got kind of brought out into the forefront, which pissed off all the religious conservatives of the time. They were pissed off that anybody would sculpt or paint a nude, for example, when they'd locked it down so successfully by sewing people into their undergarments, that kind of thing. So you basically had this. The Renaissance was basically celebrating life and celebrating everything about life, and they didn't care for that. And therefore, if homosexuality was a thing now, it was more outspoken. It was more out of the closet, to coin a popular term. And because it was, they immediately wanted to tamp that fucker down as hard as
oh my God, those people look happy.
Yep.
None of that.
You can't have happiness.
Can't have that.
God hates happiness. Yeah.
Because terrified people give more in tithing. Okay,
It's
so
all control.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all
It really is. It's control.
This week, political cartoonist Pat Bagley so perfectly summed up Marjorie Taylor Greene that it's all I'm going to call her from right now, and that is basically that she is a gym rat with a gun. A gym rat with a gun. But the gym rat with a gun kind of acted up this week and turned herself into what became my second favorite sum up of her, which was the Tanya Harding of the current GOP. So let's listen to CNN talk about this for just a minute.
Brand new reporting from the Washington Post that Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene aggressively confronted Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez outside the House chamber yesterday. And this comes weeks after Greene posted this video about challenging Ocasio-Cortez to a debate. Listen.
She better show up. If she chickens out, then she shows exactly who she really is, a scared little girl that is pretty stupid and doesn't know anything about the economy or economics.
Joining me now is the Washington Post reporter who witnessed yesterday's incident, Mariana Sotomayor. Mariana, tell us what you saw. What happened?
Hey, John, thanks for having me. Well, the one thing about covering Capitol Hill is you never know what you're going to see based on where you are. And I was with my colleague, Jackie Alamany, and we were just waiting for leadership to emerge from the House floor. This was when the House was wrapping up votes for the day. And we saw Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez walk off the floor, and just seconds after, heard Marjorie Taylor Greene start to call out her name. Ocasio-Cortez did not stop, which prompted Greene to pick up her pace and just start peppering her with questions, really shouting across the hall, asking her to defend some of these policies that she supports, like the Green New Deal. Like you mentioned, Greene really wants to debate Ocasio-Cortez specifically on that policy, but she took it a step further as well, really questioning Ocasio-Cortez about why she supports terrorist groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Of course, those are not designated terrorist groups, but she continued to pepper her with these questions until Ocasio-Cortez turned around and threw her hands up in the air in this kind of exasperated and confused face. And we unfortunately could not hear her given how far away she was. But Greene then turned around and did speak to my colleague and I, as well as one other reporter who caught the tail end of that confrontation, and essentially said that she is here to hold members of Congress accountable, whether they're Democrats. And in the past, she's also said she's trying to hold her own Republican colleagues accountable.
Accountable to what? To whom?
To whom?
And for what reason? This is what happens when you take away her committee assignments. She's gotten fuck all to do. Just sit there and suck down taxpayer-funded paychecks.
She's the Karen of Congress.
It's a publicity stunt.
Oh no, she is.
I mean, harder than the GOP.
It was a couple of weeks ago, but Doonesbury covered it with the, basically had her calling out a character he's created as a senator or a congresswoman. And she says, Marjorie, yes, what are you doing? Building content. It would be helpful if you, reacted violently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she wants to build content. That's all she wants. And she's trying to, she's firing up her base, which is a bunch of redneck idiots. And
she's fundraised over $3 million in the last few months.
Yeah.
For a freshman Congress critter with no committee assignments and thus no fucking power at all. That's huge. And it's working out really well for her. With the fact that she is probably roided out of her skull might be one of the things that explains just how fucking nutty she is. Because she is fucking nutty. Now, Ocasio-Cortez...
The fact that she can raise that much money says she's not going to change her behavior.
No.
This is exactly who she's going to be now.
Yeah, it's working.
So, Green was stripped of her committee assignments. She was in... okay, so... I'm frustrated and I'm angry. So I'm taking a step back from that, and I'm going to go to AOC talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene in a different way, in one I understand, in one that speaks to me as having been there and done that. And Ocasio-Cortez said, I used to work as a bartender. These are the kinds of people that I threw out of bars all the time. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. They get a half a beer in them and they just turn into the fucking devil. The Tasmanian devil. And then when that...
picking fights with everybody, that kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. When Manu Raju quoted her saying that, Ocasio-Cortez chose that moment to jump onto the Twitter and say the following: a friendly reminder to keep generously tipping your bartender, servers, delivery venue, and hospitality workers, which I thought was fucking awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's is Marjorie Taylor Greene a bully? Yes. Now, do I find her intimidating? No. But I can only imagine in the moment but just a few months before, you were one of the people who was hunted throughout the Capitol, by insurrectionists, that you might be on a different paranoia plane than I am. And when one of the people that allegedly gave tours to the insurrectionists the day before comes up and starts jumping up and down in your face and acting like a fucking maniac, that, honest to God, had this happened in any other profession or any other place, would have got her ass fired.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
It's got to be a little worrisome. Just a little bit worrisome.
Well, it needs to be turned over to the ethics committee. And the fact is this, I don't think that Ocasio-Cortez is necessarily intimidated by her. Is that she's taken the high road. She's been told to take the high road with her, and she's choosing to take the high road and just not letting it bother her and just not confronting her. But she has, like, she said something recently that said, I think it's up to somebody of a professional standing to decide what's wrong with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah. But nobody should have to put up with this bullshit.
No, but she shouldn't have to put up with it. And I can imagine other congresswomen would be just intimidated by her. I can imagine even Nancy Pelosi would be a little bit bothered by it. But Nancy knows who to call when it comes to dealing with a threat like that. So, because she's been there long enough, being the Speaker of the House, she knows who to call. But yeah, it's just... it should be turned over to the ethics committee. It should be handled appropriately. And at the same time, I wish we had an impeachment clause for Congress critters like we have for a president.
Yeah. So it doesn't end there with the Marjorie Taylor Greene crowd. Representative Eric Swalwell lost his temper out on the steps. So I want to listen to this one too.
About your scuffle, or however people want to characterize it, your encounter with a member of Marjorie Taylor Greene's staff, yelling at you to take your mask off. 2 days ago, of course, Greene herself was shouting at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But back to your incident, a reporter from The Hill who witnessed it says you confronted the aide and got in his face. What will you tell us what you say happened there, and what was it like for you?
Sure. You know, what's funny, Chris, is we're required by the House physician to wear our masks on the House floor. And I was just footsteps away from the floor. I'd stepped off the floor and was walking down the outside steps. And like many of us, I had just forgotten to take my mask off. I love taking my mask off outside or indoors now where you're not required to wear it. And Marjorie Taylor Greene was walking up the steps with her aide, and her aide yelled at me, "Take off your mask, Congressman." And I've just frankly had enough with these marauding goons in the Marjorie Taylor Greene crowd who go around, trying to terrorize my colleagues. We saw what she's done to Alex, my colleague, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, what she's done to Cori Bush. And I just thought, you know what? The best way, to not let people like this bully others is to tell the bullies to back off. And so, not surprisingly, this aide of hers got, quite speechless after I told, I had a few choice words for him. But the other point, Chris, is my staff walks by Marjorie Taylor Greene all the time in the hallways, and they detest what she stands for. But they don't confront her. They don't order her around, because that's just not what we do in what is supposed to be, a civil discourse environment.
So just so you know, what Eric Swalwell, Democrat of California, representative, said was basically, "You don't tell me what to fucking do." Which I think is just delightful. Yeah. Oh, I dig him. I mean, that brings up, as we're coming up to the break, the CDC threw out requirements or new guidance saying that those of us that have been fully vaccinated no longer should feel, in most public situations, like we need to wear our masks anymore. Now, the public transit, airplanes, stuff like that, you still have to wear them. Now, at my shop, we're requiring them until at least the end of the month, maybe a little longer. We're not quite sure right now. When the county mayor here in Salt Lake County went ahead and pulled the mask mandate right before the weekend, that further confused things, but you still have a sign on the door that says, yes, you need to wear a mask to shop here. And that really comes down to the fact that I've got one employee that is only half vaccinated so far. And they are taking care of that at the end of the week, because you have to wait your 3 weeks for your fucking Moderna.
Right.
And let's be honest, unvaccinated people will pretend to be vaccinated because they've already proven that they're garbage people.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the honor system when it comes to this.
Yeah.
I will be wearing a mask inside.
Yeah.
I just don't trust these people. I'm vaxxed and masked.
I have to wear that goddamn thing 9 to 10 hours a day. And I would love to take the damn thing off. One of my favorite things during the day is when I step into the restroom at work and shut the door behind me and I'm all alone, is pulling that mask off for 45 seconds.
Yep.
And if I am happy breathing the air of a public restroom without a mask in between, obviously I hate the goddamn thing. I hate it, but I'm going to keep wearing the thing as long as I possibly can.
I see no reason to. I see plenty of places where I'm like, no, I'm putting a mask on. I go in this place, I'm putting a mask on, because I don't trust half like Clarity said, I don't trust half the people out there. They're going to be wearing it, and that are not going to be wearing their masks. I don't, especially in Utah. Fuck these people. They have been refusing to wear masks this whole fucking time. And when it comes to a private business, I'm sorry, but no more can you ignore the No more than can you get in their face about wearing a mask than you can for their sign that says no shirt, no shoes, no service. You know? Your freedoms stop when you are now violating the freedom of somebody else. So shut the fuck up.
The end of your nose.
Yeah. On that note, let's take a break. When we get back on the other side, we got a whole bunch more news. Hey? Huh?
Hey.
Good stuff coming up.
News.
It's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance, reminding you that when you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
This week on the world's greatest comic book podcast, we remember Norman Lloyd, Tawny Katane, and Nathan Jung. Red Sonja has been cast.
She's short.
She's not that short.
Margot Robbie wants to introduce Poison Ivy
to her parents.
Stan Lee goes NFT.
Yeah, I still don't get it.
On TV, Ali Wong joins the Paper Girls cast. Ms. Marvel has wrapped shooting in Thailand.
Despite all the COVID problems.
What If has a premiere date.
Kinda.
In comics, Marvel is introducing a Native American Captain America.
Yeah, I'm sure this won't be culturally insensitive.
Joan Jett and the Blackhearts get a special graphic novel for their 40th anniversary.
I'm sure that won't be culturally insensitive either.
Kang gets a solo series. We review The Good Asian, Green Lantern, Heroes Reborn, Friend of the Devil, Black Knight and the Curse of the Ebony Blade, Hyperion and the Imperial Guard, and Batman the Detective. All this and more celebrity podcasts. Face Front True Believers. It's the world's greatest comic book podcast. Available Tuesdays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and thecomicbookpodcast.com.
Thank God famous people are podcasting. My goodness, what would we do without that? What would we do?
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
For some reason, you are still listening to The Left Show. All right, then, here's some more of that, I suppose.
I'm going to have to change the PSAs to the CDC. Just doesn't, they basically watched us fill plastic bags with gas and went, fuck it.
They might as well just take their masks off. I mean, and folks, you got to remember that this is a dangerous disease and can actually cause some pretty serious brain damage. There was one patient who was convinced he won an election. He lost by 7 million votes, and he still is convinced of that. You have to watch out for this disease. It's dangerous. That's all I'm saying. It's a dangerous disease.
That was good.
So, the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission on Wednesday felt that it was important for them to give the following advice: do not fill plastic bags with gasoline. Use only containers approved for fuel. And not even that. There's a really great picture running around the internet right now. This fucking Humvee, and this guy filled up a whole bunch of jerry cans with gas, got in his Humvee, pulled out of the parking lot, lit a cigarette, and blew his ass up.
Didn't bother to crack a window. Figured he'd just be fine. Gas is stable, right?
Just that I mean, the United States government felt the need to go, hey, buddy, don't do that. That's dangerous.
Darwin munched on some popcorn.
Gasoline.
You know what eats through plastic bags really quickly? Gasoline.
Oh
my God.
It's just nuts.
The level of stupid and the fact that they're doing this gas hoarding. My son, who's a mechanic, reminded me that, oh, by the way, gas goes bad. Even the stabilized gas goes bad after a few months. So hoarding it isn't going to do you any good. Yeah.
There was another picture where some guy driving a little Ford F-150 filled up a 1,000-gallon tank on the back in his back bed with gasoline, which as a liquid weighs around 8.58 pounds per gallon.
Yep.
And broke his fucking truck in half.
Broke his truck.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Idiot.
It can handle it. But you know what though? If you're still able to do it and you get those bags filled up with gas and you go home, you pour that in your bathtub, the best way to deal with the smell of the gasoline in your bathtub is you get a bunch of scented candles and you light them and you put them around the edge of the tub. That'll deal with the smell pretty well for you.
Is there a meme we're not going to quote today? Good Lord, are we millennial? What happened?
We are millennial. All my best material comes from Facebook memes. That's all there is to it.
Oh yeah. Well, in Pickens County, South Carolina, a woman hoarding gas caught on fire following a car accident after she ran away from the police department. A deputy in a marked patrol unit saw a Pontiac G6, determined that the vehicle was displaying a South Carolina license plate that had been reported stolen. According to the officer, the vehicle approached the intersection. The deputy activated his lights and sirens. The driver of the Pontiac accelerated the vehicle in an attempt to elude law enforcement. According to the officer, the driver lost control of the vehicle, probably because she was high as a fucking kite on gas fumes. Veered off the roadway, flipped the vehicle, which then immediately caught fire. Multiple explosions were heard inside the vehicle.
That's from her grocery bags full of gas. Yeah.
Yep. The deputy approached the car. The woman exited the car at a high rate of speed.
You think?
And was observed to be on fire. The deputy pushed the woman down to the ground for a stop, drop, and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. And then when you think it can't get any dumber.
Oh, it can.
Hold my beer.
Yeah. Chick-fil-A has a sauce shortage. And Christian Republicans all over the internet are blaming Joe Biden. It started out with Eric Schmidt, who not Obama.
No, they've moved on.
Sauce shortage. Chick-fil-A limiting sauces to customers, to which Eric Schmidt said, Joe Biden's America. To which Ted Cruz said, Joe Biden destroying America. Because Chick-fil-A ordered wrong, it's Joe Biden's fault.
That's right.
Lauren Boebert, the other half to the Marjorie Taylor Greene insanity, said, is there no limit to how awful Biden's America can get? This is dipping sauce, you fucking morons. This is dipping sauce. There are bombs blowing up Palestinian children in the Middle East, and you're pissed about fucking dipping sauce. You fucking lunatics.
Mm-hmm. Just doubling down on the dumb.
Well,
I just can't.
It's just the same shit again and again and again. We had this over the tan suit. We had this over. There've been, I can't even think of all the ones we've had where it's been this dumb and this stupid.
Michelle Obama's arms.
Got bigger things to think about. Yeah. And then bigger things to think about, and yet there's going on about this dipshit.
A proposal from a group of Maine Republicans to ban mandatory coronavirus vaccinations for 5 years is up for consideration by a legislative committee this next week. The lawmakers have based their proposal in part on the theory that the coronavirus vaccines cause reproductive harm. Numerous medical authorities have said the claim lacks merit, and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have stated that there is no evidence that any of the COVID-19 vaccines affect future fertility. They know this because they have been...
Including the fact that the women in the Pfizer trials, there were women in the Pfizer trials for the vaccine that got pregnant while they were in the trial.
Yeah. I mean, it's a coronavirus vaccine base, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is what they've been developing since SARS, because SARS is a coronavirus.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and they've tested that for decades now, and then all you do is you throw in the this is where I get really sciencey, so just try and follow along because I'm really going to technical.
Okay,
you throw in the bits and pieces of the current strain, what? Right?
That's very sciencey.
I know. I mean, who knew? I got a talent for this. So you put the bits and pieces of the current in there, and that's I mean, that's what they do with flu shots. You know, it's all the same base material, and then they throw in the newer stuff.
Yeah,
twist. Throw it in there and stir it all around and pour it into the little vials. But so it's been tested. Am I worried about it? Obviously not. I went and got both the shots from the manufacturer that I was told explicitly, do not do this if you've had COVID. And I did it anyway, because that was more convenient to me than trying to find whatever. That was another good one from Saturday Night Live last night, where they're like, from Pfizer and Moderna are both doing a great job, that they are set up in the way that it looks as they're going to be fine with variations on COVID and all of that, and that Johnson & Johnson's just doing its best, guys. So,
it's just trying. Let it try. Yes.
This bill out of Maine states that it prohibits mandatory vaccinations for coronavirus disease 2019 for 5 years from the date of the vaccine's first emergency use authorization, in order to allow for safety testing and investigations into reproductive harm. This is QAnon paranoia run amok, handed off to stupid people. The stupid people went to lawyers so that the lawyers could make the stupid people language sound a little less stupid. But it is definitely an inbred mentality that sets a lawmaking body in a direction to where they're like, we want to ban a vaccine that has killed, depending on whose numbers you take, up to 900,000+ Americans, because the CDC is taking a longer look now, that they could take a step back and take a deep breath, and they're like, we are pretty sure that the coronavirus killed more than 600,000 people because of underlying conditions. And again, and this is important to state when you're arguing with your Republican family. If you have a heart condition and you get into a car crash that kills you, it's the car crash that kills you, not the fucking heart condition.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you have a heart condition and you catch the coronavirus is what made everything worse and killed you, even though it was, say, a heart attack that ultimately ended your life, is it was juiced on by the virus.
Mm-hmm.
And that they haven't been calculating for that. And if you start to calculate for that, you add another 300,000 to 400,000 dead people. You know, that's almost 1 million goddamn people in a year. And you still have people running around saying this is no worse than the fucking flu. You mean the Spanish flu that killed 1 million people, maybe? Which
Depends
flu?
on the flu.
The Black Plague flu? Is that what we're talking about? This is why we can't have nice things like herd immunity, you fuckwits. Ugh.
So all of this stupidity pretty much culminated in basically getting a garbage person fired from their fancy pants leadership job so that a wet garbage person, because there's nothing worse with garbage than when it's wet garbage.
Yes.
You know, anybody who's worked at a bar and had to throw out the trash knows that the trash cans that come from behind the bar are the worst ones because it's wet trash. And that's what Stefanik is wet trash. Old wet trash.
Yeah.
I don't know. So Cheney's out. She says she's not running for president. That's fine. That's good. I wouldn't want her as president anyway. You know, Stefanik got up there and you know, swore fealty to dear leader.
Such a twit.
Heil Hitler. And you know, his poll numbers are tanking even more all across the country right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we have to stop this rampant socialism with strict authoritarianism. That's what we have to do.
His blog is apparently not doing very well.
Aw.
It's fucking blog. I used to blog, 20 years ago.
Moved on to podcasting.
It went to terrestrial radio and then went to podcasting.
That's true.
Yeah. But I don't care. I don't care about Liz Cheney. I don't care about the fact that Joni Ernst, also a Republican, stood up and accused her party of cancel culturing Liz Cheney.
Which they did.
Well, they absolutely did.
Look, I cannot applaud more getting rid of Liz Cheney. However, the reasons for getting rid of Liz Cheney are a bunch of bullshit and is a big fucking red alert on the GOP. And
let them eat themselves.
They should eat themselves, but the problem is what's left behind. The ones that come out on top are going to be the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the other fuckwits that are pledging their allegiance to dear leader that are going to cause problems in the next elections.
Heil Hitler.
Exactly.
Yeah. But cancel culture.
When you have somebody as strong in leadership as Liz Cheney calling out this level of bullshit and then getting canceled for it, that's where you're it's like, I don't want Liz Cheney in there either, but at least she's willing to call you on your bullshit. Well,
the way I put it is she's 999 parts out of 1,000 as a garbage person.
Yes.
And Stefanik is 1,000 parts out of 1,000 a garbage person.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe I may have quoted in last week's mini show.
Possibly.
But according to The Guardian, which I enjoy from time to time, cancel culture has become a shibboleth to the modern Republican Party, repeatedly invoked when public figures become embroiled in controversy regarding opinions or statements deemed to be racist, sexist, or otherwise unacceptable. Like, basically, cancel culture works like this, for the most part. And yeah, there are outliers that we may or may not be comfortable with, but you can't say the N-word anymore. And you guys are mad about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Republicans are upset about. They want to be able to call certain names to certain groups of people. And we go, no. They want to be wildly misogynistic and believe that women are chattel and property. And you don't get to do that anymore.
Nope.
And you don't get to say the C word without permission. It's Taylor. You guys remember Taylor. Mm-hmm. Taylor used to give me coupons that I could use to use the C word from time to time. And so if I used it and somebody got offended, I'm like, I got permission from a lady who said that I could use it. Because I am neither Australian nor British, and therefore it is not part of the Sticks and Stones.
Exactly. It's not your vernacular unless you're British, unless you're British descent. So, yeah.
I mean, that's just what it comes down to. You know, you don't get to do and say the racist stuff. You don't get to do and say the sexist stuff anymore. And you guys are all pissed about it, but you weren't supposed to do it in the first place.
That's right.
It's bad. So this one's fun. There was and I think we covered this a couple of weeks ago. There's a GOP lawmaker in Oregon who opened the door for the bad guys who were trying to break the door down.
Mm-hmm.
They caused a whole bunch of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So it was basically ruled, I'm guessing, by leadership that it was his fault that a bunch of shit got broken and they were going to fine him for it. His name is Representative Mike Neerman. Mike Neerman.
From Independence.
Yeah. And, well, he got the COVIDs.
Aww.
To quote him, he said, "I have a really bad case of COVID and I'm kind of on the mend a little bit."
Kind of on the mend a little bit.
Yeah.
That tells me he got a severe hit of COVID and it was only like 1 percent point away from having to go in.
My
and get put
guess
on a
is he
ventilator.
just let it in and it did a lot of damage.
Open the door for it. Didn't keep the door
for it.
shut.
Didn't keep the door shut with his mask. Aw.
Yeah. Yeah, he is he's facing a hearing in Marion County Circuit Court on Tuesday on charges of official misconduct in the first degree, criminal trespass in the second degree for the December 21st breach of the state capitol by people protesting coronavirus restrictions. Both are misdemeanors, but do carry possible jail time, which, because he's a Republican lawmaker, I don't expect him to get.
No.
Yeah. So
it is nice. It is nice to hear dipshit like this happens in Oregon, not just Utah and Florida.
Oh, there's You hit anywhere outside of metro and you're surrounded by dipshit. Surrounded by dipshit.
Yep.
Oregon was based on white supremacy. I didn't know this until I moved out here, and I was like, "Oh, it's a little white haven. No blacks allowed." I'm like, "Holy shit! I just thought it was a bunch of Portlandia hippies." Whoops.
Only in Portlandia.
Yeah.
Vanessa and Tiffany Trump, Vanessa being the ex-wife of Don Jr., have become, it is alleged, quote, inappropriately and perhaps dangerously close to Secret Service agents assigned to protect them when former President Donald Trump was still commander-in-chief. This is written by Carol D. Lonig, Washington Post reporter, in a new book. Vanessa, Donald Trump Jr.'s ex-wife, started dating one of the agents who had been assigned to her family. The agent didn't get in trouble because at the time he wasn't assigned to protect her.
Oh, well,
the book also said, that Tiffany spent an unusual amount of time alone with a Secret Service agent on her detail after she broke up with a boyfriend.
Aw.
Lonig wrote that Secret Service agents, quote, became concerned at how close Tiffany appeared to be getting to the tall, dark, handsome agent.
I sense a Lifetime movie coming on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. To ensure that their judgment isn't affected on the job, Secret Service agents are barred from forming close relationships with those they're assigned to protect. The agent Tiffany is said to have developed a relationship, was ultimately reassigned. Tiffany's spokesperson denied the report.
I say cue the Whitney Houston. That's all I'm saying.
And
Okay. Just do me this favor. Take your hands. Put them on either side of your head. Just keep your fucking head from splitting down the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this fucking story.
Utah police are now banned from shooting suicidal people. Okay, what? How is this not a rule before?
Why isn't this already a law?
A law went into effect this last Wednesday that clarifies that that police should not use deadly force against a person who is suicidal and isn't threatening anyone but
there goes the
themselves.
neighborhood.
Are
Utah
you
police are now
helping them along? What the fuck? Why was this a thing that they had to put a law in against it?
Don't jump or I'll shoot.
They were gonna die anyway.
I just can't. There's some things you read and you're like, how is that not the rule already? To serve and protect is not to shoot someone sad. You know? It's
I imagine it was the unwritten rule. It was basically just kind of understood, and somebody went and did something. Enough somebody's went and did something that they had to write a law for it. That's what I'm thinking.
Jennifer Daly Provost, representative out of Salt Lake City, Democrat, sponsored the bill. She said in a Wednesday statement that she wanted to run the legislation to bring positive change for both the police and the community. In my conversations with officers, it became clear to me that interactions with suicidal people, especially those considering suicide by cop, are some of the most dangerous, potentially devastating situations for everyone involved. So, and this is my humble opinion, tase them.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we've had bad behavior with Salt Lake City cops and tasers, and yet the people that were tased lived. So if someone is threatening you or threatening themselves with suicide and you need to diffuse it now, tase them. Don't shoot them. Don't fill them full of holes that cause end of life.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
My face flames.
Where's the
on
goat?
my face.
Where's the goat?
Oh, shit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is the appropriate response for this law. Yes.
That really is. Wales, the Welsh, are going to launch a pilot program to provide universal basic income to the Welsh. Okay, that was kind of obvious. It's I feel like the Welsh are going to do it for, Idaho. But yeah, a pilot universal basic income scheme is going to be launched in Wales. The new Minister for Social Justice, June Hutt, a close ally of First Minister Mark Drakeford, has been asked to work on the pilot. Under a UBI system, every citizen, regardless of their means, receives regular sums of money for life to cover the basic costs of living. Its proponents argue that it can alleviate poverty and give people time to retrain and adapt to changing workspaces, be more creative, and be more active and engaged. No shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking brilliant. It makes me wish I were Welsh. I want to go to Cardiff and watch them shoot Doctor Who.
I'm over here thinking, how many years until I'm how many years do I have to live there to become a citizen? 3 years? Okay, maybe we'll do that.
I don't know.
I don't know, but no, and over here they'd argue, well, it's just going to make people lazy. Look what's happening right now, where people won't take the jobs we have available for them. Yeah, they're not going to take those jobs because you're not paying them anything.
I was going to say, what living wage?
Yeah, pay a living wage and people will take the fucking job. This allows employers to pay a lower wage if they want because their employees aren't worried about paying for their basic just to live. They're earning this money to have extra money on the side. It's actually a win-win for everybody. The employer can pay less and the person can still get by and still survive.
Yeah.
And you could work in a cutoff at some point and say, well, if they're making this much money per year, maybe they don't need this cost. They're going to do it to start with everyone getting it. They could say, well, maybe they don't need this right away. And if your income goes down, we'll put you back on it. They could do that, but you know, they need to learn how this is going to work first, which is why they got to do a pilot program. But Jesus, it's such a great idea. Never happened.
It really
here.
is.
It'll never happen
No.
here.
No.
No.
No, it won't. 'Cause America. All right, gang, that's the show.
What a way to end it.
That's how we end the show. Never going to happen here because it's America.
So do us all a favor. Jump over and join us on Patreon at patreon.com/defendmedia, where we're going to keep doing the news. A little bit wilder, a little bit wackier, a little bit weirder. Woo-hoo. That's the kind of news we do on Patreon. It's the stuff you want to hear. Once we get behind the paywall, all the inhibitions.
All the clothes come off. I mean, all the inhibitions go away. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not taking my clothes off. That's just not going to happen. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
If you've made it this far, you might as well join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/defendmedia. This episode and more always available at www.theleftshow.com.